Salutations and welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at Vergil's first Ecloga, and I think, line 64 through, looks like about line 69, so this is going to be a long one today. But first, last time in Vergil's Ecloga. And there you have it. Here's our rubric, everything we're looking for. Let's go ahead and get started. At nos hinc alei sitientis ibimus afros, pars sithiam et rapidum cretae venimus oxen, et penitus toto devisus orbe Britannos, en umcam patrios longo post tempore finis, pauperis et tuguri congestum caespite. That did not flow well. Post aliquot mea regna videns mirabor aristas. And there we have it. Let's see. Editors think there's a period right there, which means this entire thing is a question. Okay. So, ot is a emphatic word, so we want to make sure to note that. It means but. Exclamation point. There's a participle, sitientis, that's going to be genitive singular, and probably, masculine, because alii, present, active, participle, and then here is our verb. Bimus is our ending, so we've got first person plural, and this is future from the verb eo, is active, and it is indicative. So, nos, here we have another emphatic. It's going to be nominative plural. Got to put inf on all of those. But we ourselves hinc, our adverb that we've seen multiple times before, from here will go, and then afros with that os right there, no preposition. We know that this is then going to be a locative case with eo, and this is as the accusative form locative is going to be placed to which, locative plural masculine, go to, and then this is, it's not for all of Africa. I think this is just for Libya. If that is spelled correctly. And then the last thing for this clause we need to figure out is alei sitientis. So we got genitive singular and genitive singular. Or this could be nominative plural with nos. We others. But that doesn't seem to make much sense. And then why is sitientis in the genitive? If we have these two together, then we have a genitive absolute. But alei could be going with nos and pars. Some would then be the idea, and then part. But I think I'm going to go with the genitive, so we have a genitive absolute. Singular masculine. While, and then it would be I, because it's singular. While I, the other. Yeah, that's a bit of a hard bit to work out of this. Well, maybe while another. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with that. While another And then sitio means to thirst, to be parched. Comma. Pars, pars partis, and this is a feminine word. And here we have the nominative singular form. Part, sitiam, et. So a new clause right here. So we have to comma there. Sithium with am is going to be another locative like afro. Since these are locations, they don't need prepositions. Part, go to Scythia. And note that I have the two different C's here. Now the commentary thinks this is a small c, but the editors of the text that I have, they think it's actually a large C standing for the country of Crete. Now, the clue for this is Oaxen. Oaxen is a river in the text. However, there is no such river recorded in ancient times. There's a couple different options for what this could be. The commentary says that this could stand for the Oxus River, and the Oxus is in the Caucasus. It could be a mixture of the Aracas. Aracas or Arrakis? I think it's Oxus. And it's just the two smushed together, which is where that A comes from. And I think that one is also near the Caucasus, which then means Crete doesn't make any sense. However, since we just had Tityrus talking about things being misplaced all over the place, maybe Meliboeus is continuing this, and he's misplacing the Araxus and the Oxus in a completely different country. But I don't think so, because he's talking about going places. So I'm going to side with the commentary and say probably the lowercase c, in which case this just means chalk. So oxen, we've got the en ending right there, which is a Greek accusative ending. But even though it's a first declension ending, eta nu, we know that this is actually going to be a masculine word, because rapidum, the other accusative, is un. So accusative, singular, not accusative, locative, singular, masculine, locative, singular, masculine, showing place to, which again, venimus. If it were present tense, then it would just be venimus. So with the E right there, we have a future tense. So first, plural, future, active, indicative, matching with ibimus. And we will come with me to the, I'm going to say Oxus for brevity's sake. And then rapidum comes from rapio, to seize, to snatch. And we've got the fourth principal part here. So this is a perfect passive participle. Or is it? Second guessing myself here. Rapio, rapire, raptum. Raptum is the perfect passive participle. So this is just an alternate adjective, I think, fulfilling the part of the perfect active participle, which of course does not exist. So that is incorrect. This one just means come to the oxus, and we're going to have to translate it as a relative clause, treating it as a perfect active participle, technically. Which snatches. Snatches. Snatched? Well, with perfect, it would make more sense to do the passive. So which snatched, and then chalk. I'm doing this largely based on the authority of the commentary, which says with the chalk, it's going to be snatching of chalk. So the implied thing is like bits of chalk as it flows. And so since Vergil mentions chalk here, it might be possible to figure out which river is actually meant from the Caucasus if you knew which one passes through a chalky area. And I do not. So that's 65. And Then we come to penitus toto devisos orbi Britannos. We don't have a verb here, so it's probably going to be a repetition of venimus. So penitus is an adverb, very strange looking one, honestly, and it means internally, inwardly, from deep within, something like that. Widely, maybe. So that's going to be modifying probably our verb, and we will come inwardly, internally, widely, something like that. Toto devisos, os right there for an accusative plural masculine, which matches Britannos. I'm just going to pull that over. And then toto and orbe, those two appear to be going together. And this is, of course, ablative, singular, masculine, that one too. And we will come to divided Britain, and then divided once a ablative of separation, so from the whole world. So they thought that Britain was an island out there at the edge. And if you recall your Roman geography, they thought that the world was surrounded by this huge river. And Britain is an island in that river. So they're at the very edge of existence. Hence, toto orbe. And that ends our first clause. And now we're entering a question. N is a exclamatory particle. It means lo, behold, or see. I'm going to go with lo. Lo ever umquam. Lo ever patrios longo post tempore finis. No verb there. So we need to keep looking. Come back to this later. Pauperes et tuguri congestum caespite. That looks like it could be an imperative, but it's not. This is actually caespes, caespitis. So that's not going to be it. Colon, post, I'll quote mea regna videns. Here is a present active participle, nominative, singular, and masculine. So that doesn't fulfill our main verb, but we know it's there now. Here mirabor, from mirror. So this is actually a deponent. First, singular, future, active. Deponent, just said that. And indicative. So then we have, seeing I will wonder, as a question. So we would say, seeing will I wonder. Lo ever will I wonder at the accusative, at the patrios, at the fatherlands, or the paternal, since this is an adjective. The paternal, longo post tempore, so these are ablative together. Tempus is neuter. Could have sworn post one with accusative. And lo ever, long past the time, or long after the time, after a long time. And then the last thing we need to figure out, patros, accusative, plural, masculine. Finis, is right there. It could be owning longo post tempore, but we've seen longo post tempore before, I think, and it wasn't owned by anything then. So finis could be owning patrios. So will I wonder at the paternal, maybe paternalness as a substantive, of the boundary, and that would be implying his home. So yeah, I think that works. And then we're going to say at again for an accusative. Nope. Congestum. Congestum, that is a accusative. Singular. With colon, which is neuter. So since it has the E in there, we know it's going to be a neuter. Rather than the Greek, which we have there. Okay. At the congestum, this means the collected. And then colmen is like a peak, a summit, the ridge of a roof. So at the collected ridge. And then we have pauperes tuguri, and it's interesting that the at appears between pauperes and tuguri. So we might say at the collected roof of the poor and of the hut. Yeah, but that doesn't make much sense. So I think instead this at is intended to connect this clause with this clause. And he moved it here for metrical purposes. And this is, of course, genitive, singular, and tugur, I think is neuter. So that with that. And but first we should do kaispite, gosh, that's hard, which is ablative with that E right there of a third declension, singular and masculine. And this one means turf or sod, so we know what the roof of Meliboeus' house is made of. It's an earthen roof. And I think I'm going to put that right here. And the roof collected or mast. Yeah, let's do mast with sod of implied my, oops, wrong word, poor hut. Post, I'll quote. Post is, this could be an ablative, not an adverb in this case with aliquot, which is an indeclinable adjective meaning some or several. Mea regno, since we've got the regna right there, we know this is a neuter plural, probably an accusative, since our verb appears right there. So this is what's being wondered at now. Accusative plural neuter, those two together. And then our last word, aristas, as right there is a feminine plural, also accusative. Okay, so then it looks like we've got two things that are being wondered at in this line. And I think the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to treat this as an adverb because it doesn't make sense for after my kingdoms. Yeah, I don't get that, but maybe after seeing aliquot mea regna. I think aliquot could go with mea regna as it's not declinable. It could go with just about anything. All right, but they are right next to each other. So yeah, that's how I'm going to treat after kingdoms. And what he might mean there is the different places where he worked, where he was in charge of, where he took the cattle to raise them. Or maybe the different places he will have lived before possibly returning home. And then at with aristas as the final object of mirabor. At the... let's repeat. Will I wonder? Will I wonder? At the... And then this one's an interesting one. Technically, it means the beard hair of corn, which is kind of weird to say. And it's just a poetic stand-in for corn itself. So, at the corn's beard hair. Or just at the corn. Question mark. And there we go. Well, I hope that wasn't too long for you. Thank you very much for joining. I hope taking a look at this has been helpful for you, and I hope that you have a very good life. Voila.
What? You're still awake? Why are you still here then? You should be reading a book. Or if not reading, you should watch one of these other videos. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. See you next week.